Will Donald Trump and Putin sit down? That would be absolutely monumental, wouldn't it? Donald Trump will be addressing the nation in advance of that. But never mind all that, JD Vance is in town. Kemi Badenoch decided that she didn't actually want to meet him. What do you think to that? Has she got her priorities right or not? And the grandfather of one of those little girls murdered in Southport says that the Home Secretary is wrong to push for the ethnicities or the immigration status of criminals. He says the government are kowtowing to reform UK. What do you think to that? Also, I want to look at Birmingham. There's a lot going on there. I've also got to point out, though, that they still have not resolved their bin strikes, do they? Have a few wrong priorities. And, of course, it's A-level day. I do love the celebration, but the essence of the matter is that we are still failing white working-class kids. Let's take a look at that. Do you know what, as well, speaking about these young kids, did you used to have, for example, a Saturday job? Where have those opportunities gone for these youngsters? Tell me, what were your Saturday jobs? Speaking of people that are definitely not young, Kelvin McKenzie is on my panel tonight, the former editor of The Sun, and alongside him, Matthew Torbett, the former Labour advisor. Before we get stuck in there, let's give you your 6 o'clock news headlines.
Michelle, thank you. The top stories: Sir Keir Starmer and Volodymyr Zelensky have said there's strong resolve for peace in Ukraine ahead of highly anticipated talks between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. The two leaders expressed cautious optimism about the prospect of a truce, adding as long as Putin takes action to prove he's serious about ending the war. In a separate statement, Mr Zelensky said there'd been discussions about the security guarantees required to make any deal truly durable if the United States succeeds in pressing Russia to stop the killing. Sir Keir Starmer hosted the Ukrainian president for a private breakfast in Number 10 as Europe braces for the face-to-face meeting between the US president and his Russian counterpart.
If the first one goes okay, we'll have a quick second one. I would like to do it almost immediately, and we'll have a quick second meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky and myself, if they'd like to have me there. And that would be a meeting where maybe it could be absolutely work. But the first meeting will not work that out. Certain great things can be gained in the first. It's going to be a very important meeting. But it's setting the table for the second meeting. I think the second meeting, if the second meeting takes place, now there may be no second meeting, because if I feel that it's not appropriate to have it because I didn't get the answers that we have to have, then we're not going to have a second meeting.
In other news, a man accused of deliberately driving into a crowd of fans at Liverpool's Premier League victory parade has been charged with 24 new offences, including attempted grievous bodily harm against 2 babies. More than 130 people, including children, were injured when 53-year-old Paul Doyle allegedly drove his car into hordes of fans at the celebrations on the 26th of May. He was previously charged with 7 offences, including wounding and grievous bodily harm with intent, plus dangerous driving. 6 of the new offences relate to children, including one 6-month-old and a 7-month-old. His trial is set for the 24th of November. The death of a teenage girl who was left alone at a children's mental health ward by an inexperienced agency worker using fake ID has been ruled as an unlawful killing by an inquest jury. 14-year-old Ruth Semankovich was being treated for an eating disorder at Hunter Combe Hospital in Berkshire. She'd been placed under strict one-to-one observation when on the 12th of February of 2022, she was left on her own by the member of staff responsible for watching her. She was able to shut herself in her bedroom at the hospital's psychiatric intensive care unit, where she self-harmed. She died 2 days later. Today, an inquest jury sitting at Buckinghamshire Coroner's Court in Beaconsfield returned that conclusion of unlawful killing. Ruth's parents spoke this afternoon.
There is an empty space at our table, a silent bedroom in our home, and a gaping hole in our family that will never be filled. We should be getting ready to celebrate Ruth's 18th birthday in a few weeks' time. She was just 14 when she died now 3.5 years ago.
Ruth was an incredible, bright, friendly, loving and adventurous girl with a whole life of joy ahead of her. When at our most vulnerable as a family, we reached out for help. We ultimately found ourselves trapped in a system that was meant to care for her, to help her, to keep her safe, but instead locked her away and harmed her.
4 people have been taken to hospital after chemicals inside a Guy's hospital plant room were mixed in a way that produced chlorine gas. Around 150 people, including patients and staff, were evacuated from the hospital in central London. The London Fire Brigade was called at 8:49 a.m, sending specialist officers, fire engines and rescue units to the scene. Crews have been ventilating the basement and ground floor while a large cordon remains in place. And top A-level results across England, Wales and Northern Ireland have risen, while a record number of students have been accepted into their first choice university. Hundreds of thousands of students have been receiving their results today, with boys outperforming girls in terms of top A-level grades for the first time in 7 years. Fewer students took A-levels this year, while T-levels in England grew in popularity, but dropout rates remain high. Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson says the results show a steadying of the ship after the COVID pandemic.
Today is a really exciting day for our young people, a nerve-wracking day for them and for their parents, but a day of celebration. I know our young people have worked incredibly hard to get to this point and have had fantastic support from teachers and staff. My message to young people is, if you've got what you needed to move on to that next step, then that's fantastic and well done. If perhaps you haven't got quite what you need, not to worry, because there's lots of help and support that's available through schools and colleges, but also through UCAS and clearing, lots of university options. But alongside that, the National Careers Service can provide advice on other routes alongside university, because it's not the only way to achieve success in your life.
Those are the latest headlines. For now, more from me in an hour. Now it's over to Michelle.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Thank you for that, Tatiana. Hello, good evening to each and every one of you. My name's Michelle Dewberry. This is Dewbs & Co, keeping you company till 7 o'clock tonight. Alongside me, I've got Kelvin Mackenzie, the former editor of The Sun, and alongside him, I've got Matthew Torbett, the former Labour advisor. Good evening, gents. You're both very welcome tonight. You guys at home, always welcome. Join the conversation in all the usual ways. You can email me, gbviews@gbnews.com. You can go to the website, gbnews.com/yourset, or you can tweet, or you can X me. There are a lot of things that I need to discuss with you, ladies and gents, at the top of the show, and I'm going to come on to this in a bit more detail before the end of the programme, so worry not. But of course, it's A-level results day, and when I think about things like this, I always think about young kids and what you go on to do and all the rest of it. And when I was young, not that long ago, because I am, of course, only 21, I used to do all manner of different Saturday jobs, and I started thinking those opportunities don't really exist anymore. Paper rounders, those kind of things, they're just not there. You've got delivery, food deliveries, grocery deliveries or whatever. Those jobs are not really taken up by young people, let's face it. So I'm asking you, what Saturday jobs did you guys used to have? Gary says, I used to deliver papers in the morning and the night, 7 days a week, and I used to work in my friend's greengrocers. Jane said, I used to work in Woolworths in Eastleigh when I was 14. I could only do 5 hours, she says, until I was 15. Then I worked all day and I absolutely loved it. Malcolm, you're showing your age now, Malcolm. When I was a lad, I did a Saturday morning bread delivery round and I earned 2 shillings and 6pence, he says. I saved 1 week and then the next week, those were, he says, the days. I'm going to give you a bit of time to think about your answer, because when you was a youngster is many decades ago now, so I'll ask you your answer at the end of the programme when we come on to our Saturday job chat. But very quickly, did you used to have a Saturday job?
Yeah, I used to have a paper round. I used to help my mum clean
You
up.
weren't supposed to tell me what it was. You were just supposed to say yes.
Sorry, we waiting
and
till the end.
It was supposed to be a massive cliffhanger.
There's several I can list. It's fine.
Yes.
We'll go into it later.
So just tell me a yes or no. I don't need to know the details. Did you used to have a Saturday job?
Yep.
Right.
Lots of them. Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I think that they are the making of, all of these kind of Saturday jobs. So get in touch. Tell me. We'll come back to that before the end of the programme. But look, huge day tomorrow. Donald Trump and Putin, they are apparently going to meet. I think it's in Alaska. Let's see whether or not that actually happens. But Donald Trump, he's apparently imminently going to address the nation. You know what it's like when he speaks. Anything can happen, quite frankly. So when he starts, we might just dip into it, seeing whether or not it's of interest. But for now, I just want to talk about matters closer to home. We can link all of this because, of course, J.D. Vance has been in town. He's gone up now to Scotland, you lucky people. But one of the things that caught my eye, he's had lots of appointments arranged for him by George Osborne. Kemi Badenoch, though, actually hasn't met him. they decided there was some kind of strange diary clash. I think that is very, very peculiar, and it raises questions and eyebrows. Many people are asking this question for a variety of reasons, whether or not she's got her priorities right as leader of the opposition.
Well, she hasn't got her priorities right, and I would urge her, if she's watching the only television news which has any kind of outreach towards her views, that she actually calls up Vance and says, look, I'm getting myself in some political hot water here. Just announced that we're going to meet next week or the following week. It's an error because, first of all, Jenrick was there. Nigel Farage was there. Actually, I think even the major shareholder, and the reason this company even keeps going, Marshall, he was there, right? So everybody on the right has been meeting J.D. Vance, and with the exception of the leader of the Conservative Party. And she needs help. She needs real help. I spoke to a Tory MP literally about 3 weeks ago who said they can't imagine how awful their party conference is coming up in September. She said it'll be a nightmare. Most MPs will be keeping away. She hasn't got anything to say. And everybody agrees, right? I've been saying this from year dot, that come the Wales and Scottish elections in May, the Tories will finish potentially bottom in Wales and are going to finish way down the track in Scotland. And at that moment, I'm afraid it is time for a new leader, despite what Michael Gove, the editor of The Spectator and a former cabinet minister, may want. It is time for a change. We need vibrancy, drive, and we need people who will clear their diaries for the Vice President of the United States.
Well, I've got to say, many of you watching this, you are Tory voters. You often get in touch with me, say, pack it in, having a go at the Tories, Michelle, when it comes to things like the immigration side of things. So you tell me then, do you think Kemi Badenoch is the right leader for you? Matthew Torbett, your thoughts?
I come at it from a slightly different angle. I think the photo opportunity is useful, gives you some element of credibility where you've got a bit of a credibility issue when it comes to, say, immigration or the economy or other things over the last 14 years. But ultimately, if she's prioritised going to meet families in Epping and she's prioritised time in Essex and her constituency where Reform are on the march, that's really where the bread and butter is and where she needs to be, actually. I think, is her meeting J.D. Vance convincing anybody to vote Conservative that's wavering currently? I don't think it is.
She's not there at the moment. We're 4 years away from an election. It is not that she's trying to convince the voters. She's trying to convince her own parliamentary party that she should hang on to power. And if you can't even clear your diary for somebody as powerful as Vance, you have a major problem.
Yeah, no, listen, there's an element of priority. However, there is 4 more years, and I guarantee there'll be more opportunities for photo ops with either the President, the Vice President, whoever it might be, that she probably will get the opportunity. But I honestly think if that's what she's prioritised to do, to go meet families in Epping with regards to the Bell Hotel and other things, I think that's probably a better use of her time at the current moment.
Are you saying, but why can't she do both?
From an electoral point of view,
no, but why can't she do both? She can go to Epping, and I'm glad to see that she's in Epping. But I can't understand why a trip... I found out, I was in the Cotswolds the other day. It takes you about an hour and 40 minutes from central London to get in there. So what is it that was going on in her diary that was so important that she can't be bothered to see the Vice President of the United States?
Think about it logistically. I suppose, you know, J.D. Vance is going to have a packed diary. He's clearly met many people over the last few days. Those families from Epping may well have taken the day off work or may have found that time for that specific time. If she goes, look, we're going to have to do it at 2 o'clock now, not 12 o'clock. They might not be able to do that. Therefore, you've got egg on your face. And again, I think her problems are closer to home. And I don't think her meeting the Vice President is going to encourage anybody to get behind that.
I say you should do both, right?
If you can, absolutely. No, I agree.
And by the way, the idea that you couldn't do both makes it a very bizarre diary. After all, she's the shadow leader. There's virtually nothing going on that she doesn't organise.
Well, look, I will just be absolutely shameless because J.D. Vance, if you're watching, and I'm sure that you are watching the 6 o'clock best news debate programme there is, I'll come to one of your barbecues because I do hear, J.D. Vance, you've got a bit of a soft spot for apprentice contestants. Tom Skinner, I like him, you know. He's the guy, he's the one that always goes, oh, bosh, that's that guy. He went to There he is. Look, that's a picture of him. He went to a barbecue at JD Vance's place where he was staying. He turned up all suited and booted. I've got to say, absolutely loved that. So, yes, JD, I am not just an apprentice candidate, I'm an apprentice winner. So I'll come to your barbecue. But there you go. Tell me, does it bother you at all that Kemi Badenoch didn't attend that meeting? And as well, this notion of Keir Starmer, lots of you get in touch with me. We've been showing you the protests that have happened up and down the country. Lots of you say, well, where is Keir Starmer? The answer to that, ladies and gents, is Keir Starmer is busy trying to fix the situation in Ukraine. Do you place that a higher priority than what's going on in this country? Tell me your answer to that and we'll explore in a couple of minutes.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dewbs, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, you say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there short and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, everybody. Michelle Dewberry, Kelvin McKenzie and Matthew Talbot. So you guys are really making me smile at home because I've asked you a question because it's A-level results day, so that's why I'm on this little ponder down memory lane, because I actually worry for young kids, because I believe that the opportunities to get yourself into the world of work when you was a youngster, they don't really seem to be there very often these days. So I'm asking you, what were your Saturday jobs? So many of you getting in touch. William says, Michelle, when I was 10, I had an evening paper round every night except Sunday. I had a bandaged hand from a boisterous snowball fight and kept getting my fingers stuck in letterboxes. So I decided to leave my papers outside on all the steps, but the customers complained and I got sacked.
Oh, no.
This day and age, I mean, just when I listen to William, first of all, snowball fights. You'd have health and safety around you in a nanosecond about that.
Can I
Letterboxes, snapping fingers. Can you imagine? Go on, what's
well, Yeah, but the other aspect is, how old is that bloke?
I don't know. William,
I tell you
how old
what,
are you?
the reason I say that is because delivering evening papers, well, as far as I know, there won't have been any evening papers to deliver, literally, for multiple decades. I mean, they would have all died.
I did, on a Friday night. We were told to do them in the evening.
Where was that?
Stockport.
What was the paper?
Oh, that's a good question. I can't remember.
What is this? University's Challenge?
No, I'll tell you what it is. I'm just wondering how old some of your viewers are.
It was a free one.
They're as old as me.
Don't do casual references to newspapers on Kelvin Mackenzie's watch, ladies and gents. I used to have an evening paper round, by the way, and it was the Target, it was called. It was a free paper on a Wednesday. It was a free paper, so that meant my bag was so heavy. And then you used to have this catalogue, Wix, I think it was. I used to hate those days because that weighed a ton. And then I remember once you got these leaflets and they had a penny. They had a penny stuck to them. And I remember at the end taking all of these pennies, and I had this massive thing of pennies.
Nicking them?
Borrowing them.
Borrowing them.
That's what I was
You're beginning to sound like Rachel Reeves.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, it could be... anyway.
She'd steal pennies like that from you.
Right, shall I get...
pennies from your viewers.
Shall I get back on track then, ladies and gents? William, you can tell him how old you are. I would never ask you a question like that. I'm a lady. Anyway, my question to you was, do you think Keir Starmer's got his priorities right? Because many people are saying, you know, the country, we've got huge problems right now. We all know what they are. Where is he? The answer to that is he's trying to resolve Ukraine. Just briefly, do you think this is the right priority for him?
Right, so there's two issues. He can't stop talking about Ukraine. He can't stop talking about Gaza. But he won't say a word of late about the 50,000 migrants that have come in, Channel migrants that have come in. He has nothing to say. He has no solution, and therefore he is stage stum. I think it's an absolute disgrace. The nation is worried, really worried about these people that are coming in every day without any solution to how they're ever going to be stopped. And yet he is ducking it and saying, I must get on the world stage. And all politicians do this. Immediately they see a difficult local or economic issue, suddenly Ukraine becomes attractive, which I don't think he could find on a map, actually. And secondly, and then Gaza becomes an enormous problem because he's got some political issues with his own people on that. So I would prefer him if he focused on something which would really affect us, to be honest. I quite understand these other issues are important. I say this is more important.
I think you can do more than one thing at once. These are issues that will affect us, unfortunately, because we're going to keep funding them otherwise. These wars are ongoing. There is a sort of potentially a moral feeling that we must help certain countries that, you know, certainly Ukraine is a sovereign country that's been invaded, and do we all rally behind and whatever else? That's costing us as taxpayers. But also, I agree, the 50,000 is ridiculous. But you'll do well to find any government that will pull out a list of things and go, look at what we're doing badly, which is why he's not talking about it. I would like to see more solutions.
Well, he does talk about it, though. I mean, I'm looking now. He did a tweet on the 7th of August where he put a clip, you will remember, of those guys that were getting into this country and they'd blared their faces out. And he'd said, I've said that if you enter this country on a small boat, you will face detention and return. I meant it, he said.
These tweets are painful. What's
painful about that? He will obviously think that's great.
Well, he will do, but nobody reads that and goes, yeah, I believe that's him. That's his voice. That's what he thinks.
Our country, the reason politicians don't get a decent press and nobody really believes them is that they never do anything which is going to be really dramatically changing, and also take the criticism that comes with it. With the boat people, I'm afraid it means turning the boats back. Now, there's 1,000,001 reasons why we can't do it. I quite understand that. Until we do that, we are done for. And Starmer won't say that. Why? A, because he's a KC, and B, because actually, as a human rights lawyer, I suspect that he actually views them as clients, both in the past and for the future. That's the reality.
But then if he was sitting here now, Matthew, he would say, I am absolutely doing everything that I can. I've got this, what they would call like a one-in, one-out thing. And they would push back and actually say, give it time, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, he probably would. And the thing is, he has got to be serious about it because he's going to lose the next election otherwise. And actually, he'll be gone next year. That's the other point of the matter. I think there is a better way of doing things. I think offshore processing, even as a human rights KC, would be more palatable for him, and also for the left and the right of his party, in keeping people happy, because you're dealing with it as a security issue. You've got to know who these people are before they get here, and also you're stopping the optics of
Don't you think the reverse would happen? Actually, more people would turn up.
No,
because the numbers, if you came out of somewhere like Afghanistan, the way things are at the moment, or Sudan, or any of these big areas where there is warfare or previous warfare, could mean that we could literally have 10 million, 20 million people making their way across Europe just to fill in a form which says, actually, under the present rules, actually, I am a refugee and therefore I can come in. I think that would be an absolute disaster for our country. But look, I'm looking for a politician who can solve this issue. It will be the issue which decides the next election. If Labour manage to come up with an idea, I suspect they'll do rather well, or do better than they are at the moment. If they don't, by the way, I can see this, and I keep on saying this, as the biggest landslide in politics we have ever seen. I could literally see Labour having almost single figures.
No, I don't see that. I think we'll get beat at this current juncture, but I don't see that. Your point of the refugees, I think that is a possibility. Where I think the Prime Minister could show leadership is by calling a summit of all EU leaders, because this is a European issue. It's not just us that's being affected. We're seeing other countries try and tighten their borders. We've even seen it in Canada and America. And actually, even Ursula von der Leyen's own party have said maybe we need to revisit the 1951 Convention of what a refugee truly is. We obviously opened our arms up to many Jewish people that fled post-World War II and rightfully gave them sanctuary and somewhere to go. Now there is more war than ever before, there are more refugees than ever before, and therefore maybe we need to have a think about what we do. Otherwise, we're going to keep getting isolationist parties doing well. We've even seen it as far away as Japan, where a Japan-first sort of Prime Minister is now...
Trump solved it overnight. Why can't we find a politician to do the same?
Well, speaking of Donald Trump, he is about to speak. When he does, we will have a little nosy, don't worry, if you're sitting there wondering what he's going to do, not least because these things often descend, you get your popcorn at the ready, but there's also a lot that we need to talk about in this country. I want to talk about some of the things that have been going on over in Birmingham. So stay tuned and I'll see you in a few minutes.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The summer heatwave continues across much of Europe, particularly inland France, Spain and Portugal, where we're likely to see temperatures in the mid to low 40s. And with these high temperatures, we are set to see plenty of sunshine, but slightly different story as we move our way eastwards across the Mediterranean. At times, this heat is likely to produce some quite heavy, if not thundery showers across parts of Italy. And that is set to continue over the weekend, and the hot temperatures are here to stay.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's going to be much more settled during the next 24 hours. Showers and thunderstorms easing, mostly dry and hot again in the south, albeit cooler across northern parts of the UK, having seen some thundery showers developing through the day. They're tending to ease now as we head into the hours of darkness, and for most of the UK it's drier. Clear spells for many, but some areas of cloud around, particularly for northwest England, parts of North Wales, more especially northern and eastern Scotland, where there'll be some low cloud covering the hills and bringing misty conditions to the coast. A few spots of rain out of that cloud overnight, otherwise it's a fine start to Friday. A warm night and a warm start for the south in particular on Friday morning. Plenty of sunshine and temperatures soon rising up to 20 degrees in places by 7 or 8 a.m. Some areas of cloud around, but yeah, for many it is a bright start to the day. Northern Ireland seeing plenty of sunshine, likewise for the central belt. But for much of central Scotland into the east of Scotland, northeast England, we will see this area of low cloud that's going to tend to drift southwards through the day to affect parts of East Yorkshire into the Lincolnshire coast, Norfolk perhaps by the afternoon. That's going to make it feel much cooler, and we'll have this onshore breeze with it. But where we've got the sunshine and lighter winds elsewhere, it's hotter once again, high 20s, low 30s in the south. Cooler for northern parts of the UK, more like low 20s. The low cloud in the North Sea tends to creep back inland overnight, and it will be with us first thing Saturday.
Hello, I told you Donald Trump was about to talk. He's started. Let's nosy in. Don't worry if it's boring, you'll come back to me.
Right now of Social Security. So today we celebrate that 90th anniversary of one of the most significant pieces of legislation ever signed into law, the Social Security Act of 1935, and we're going to make it stronger, bigger and better, really doing a job. In the campaign, I made a secret pledge to our seniors that I would always protect Social Security, and under this administration, we're keeping that promise and strengthening Social Security for generations to come. You keep hearing stories that in 6 years, 7 years, Social Security will be gone, and it will be if the Democrats ever get involved, because they don't know what they're doing. But it's going to be around a long time with us. Very much, you'll be surprised to hear some of the numbers. I'm delighted to be joined by the Commissioner of the Social Security Administration, Frank Bisignano. Oh, in the world of business, in fact, I wrote some of the little things down that he's had an amazing, he was Chief Operating Officer of J.P. Morgan Chase. He worked for Jamie Dimon, and Jamie Dimon said that he was amazing. So think of that, Chief Operating Officer, J.P. Morgan Chase, had a storied career. Then he went to First Data. For those in the business, you'd know it's the largest payment company anywhere in the world. And worked for Henry Kravis, and it was in big trouble. He took it over as CEO. He made it incredible. They merged with Fiserv, and he became CEO of that, and that became extremely successful. I was in Milwaukee. I guess they have the Milwaukee Arena, and where we had some good success and some good speeches. But he said,
Oh, I thought that was going to be a whole host of juicy stuff then. That's why I nosed it in. In a second, I'll put a QR code for you on the screen. And if you want to listen to Donald Trump whilst watching me at the same time, you lucky people, you'll be able to do just that. So bear with us. Look, though, I do want to bring you back to matters closer to this country. I was asking you at the top of the programme whether or not you guys had Saturday jobs, because I do, of course, worry for all of these kids now that don't. Well, look, one of my viewers, no messing around with you guys, you've sent me this picture in. Look, take a look at this. I think it's absolutely fabulous. And let me read out what he said. So this is one of my viewers, Simon, he's called. He said, Michelle, I had a Friday night and all-day Saturday job in Bishop's Supermarket and an evening mail round too. I enjoyed such a laugh, and I bought my brand new moped on HP at £8.31 a month. And that's the picture of him. He says, what a laugh. You see, this is the thing that I like about things like Saturday jobs, because it was your first entry point, wasn't it, into the world of work. I've got the answer. Before the break, William, one of my viewers, also got in contact, and Kelvin McKenzie was so rude. He asked William how old he was. William has said, Michelle, I'm a few weeks away from being 90.
There we are. I was right, you see. I was being mocked, and I recognised his kindred spirit.
He said, I worked for Willie Martin in Bangor, and I delivered the Belfast Daily Telegraph. My brother was a compositor for the same paper, and my father was bitten by one of the delivery ponies, he says.
Delivery ponies?
What's a compositor in the newspaper sense?
Works in the... he did the metal. He put the metal into the pages. And when I worked, no, I didn't work at it, but at the Sun, on page...
What metal in the pages?
Well, they made... these were metal. It's not like today. They created metal of the story. They read the stories and they type it out effectively into metal. It would make it. And you had a big lump of metal that was molten, and that would create lines of type, and that would then be put into the page, and the comp would put it in the page.
We don't know we're born, do we, as young uns? We do not know we are born. Go on, what's what
So anyway, on the front page of the Sun, each big letter, they only had a few of them. So that if you got a word like... supposing you wanted to put the word Afghanistan in, you couldn't do it because it had too many A's in it.
There wasn't enough letters.
It was absolutely ridiculous. It was run by SOGAT and the NGA, a couple of vile trade unions who held us up for about 50 years.
Kelvin, if they were sitting here, they would say they're not vile. Anyway,
they would agree they're vile.
One of my viewers, Smudger, he calls himself, Michelle, I grew up next to a theme park which also had caravans. I worked on the rides and in the arcades from the age of 14. He says I was pretty much self-sufficient efficient from that age. I was always in the latest gear as I worked through all the summers. And then he says the girls on the holiday camp were my age too, which he says was a perk. I shall leave that to everyone's imagination, and I'm sure you've got a glint in your eyes. You're telling me that story, Smudger, so thank you very much for sharing. Now, Birmingham Council, who, by the way, have not yet even managed to resolve their bin strike, people there have been putting up British flags on lampposts and all the rest of it, and now what they're saying is all of these flags essentially have to come down. The people putting them up, and I can show you some clips of this on your screen right now, the locals there are saying basically the flags went up to show kind of signs of being patriotic. Kelvin Mackenzie, what do you think to this?
Right, well, this area is Northfields. Now, Northfields, your viewers probably know this, but Birmingham is 52% minorities and 48% white. And Northfields, unusually, is a kind of white enclave within Birmingham. It's not massively white, but it's not that split. And I get the impression that the council do not want white, view white flags as something that they wish to embrace. However, there is a Pakistani. There is a building which has been lit up in the colours of Pakistan because Pakistanis in Birmingham are 17.5%.
Oh, you're talking about the library. They lit up the library to celebrate Pakistan Independence Day. That's it now on your screen.
So you'd have to start thinking to yourself, without seeing racial conspiracy everywhere, and I do recognise there might be other explanations, why is it that our Union Jack can't go on a lamppost? There's no question that anybody's going to crash or they're going to be blown off and suddenly your windscreen is covered with it. And yet they can do this kind of thing, which makes it feel, I suspect, that if you're white and you live in Birmingham, you are a lower being of some kind. It's a very odd decision, and I'd like Birmingham City to come up with a better explanation than suggesting that they're doing it for safety reasons.
Well, anyway, we've got a right reply from them. They say, and I quote, lampposts and other street furniture need to be protected, which is why highways staff across the city removed about 200 advertising banners and flags that had been attached to the lampposts since the start of this year. They had taken down attachments from lampposts routinely, including advertising signs, bunting trails and flags. Matthew Torbett.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I haven't really got an issue with it, but I think if you tie it up and it's not tied up properly, it comes off and it comes onto someone's windscreen, you're asking for trouble, really. I think the issue with the library, they also light it up every year, as far as I can tell, going back to 2017 on social media for St George's Day. They do it for India Independence Day as a reflection of the, I suppose, diversity of the city of Birmingham. They have a St George's Day conference and a concert, at the town hall. And actually, I was delighted to see 53-foot wide St George's flag, ironically, the length of the town hall for St George's Day a couple of years ago. So I don't think there is a conspiracy. I don't know about protecting the lamppost. That seems a bit wet to me. But I just think once the genie's out the bottle, we're going to put up a flag for something else, the Queen's Jubilee, the this, the that, and before you know it, someone's going to have an accident, unfortunately. So it's sad if people do feel that there is something more at play. I just don't think there is, considering that they also celebrate, our country as well.
Is that fair?
Well, it's an analysis that I don't really accept. I think Birmingham is...
What did I say that wasn't true, Kelvin? I've got the
no, I
pictures
don't accept that the basis of this particular decision is not on the basis of, I'm afraid you're in a white neighbourhood and we don't want the Union Jacks to go up. It's as simple as that. Northfield is peculiar in the sense that it is majority white. And, honestly, they probably do... The way forward for all this is for Northfield to start having its own street parties and defy Birmingham City Council and just do it in the road and have a good time themselves. I wish them well in their battles ahead. After all, it must be a group of people that have decided to do this. So they're probably the beating heart of their neighbourhood. I feel sorry for the fact that they can't even put up... honestly, what on earth is the lamp lamppost is lying there all day. It's not doing anything most of the day. It only comes into action for about a few hours when everybody else has gone to sleep as well.
Yeah,
so why don't they just let them get on with it?
But they are on busy roads. I think it's more of a safety thing.
Well, do you know Northfield then?
Yeah,
I know Northfield because I used to live in Redditch.
Green, right, so OK, so we both know the area.
Yeah.
I think Barley Green reminds me of an area I grew up in where you do get the community that is the beating heart of it's the sort of area where a lot of communities therefore don't exist anymore. They do, and people look after one another. It reminds me of back home.
Yeah.
I think with regards to the fact that Birmingham has so many ethnic minorities, we have to remember a lot of that is the Afro-Caribbean community there. The last census showed that only 17% of people were Pakistani Muslim.
Well, that is it's a big number.
It's not
insignificant. It's like a couple of hundred. It's like a couple of 100,000 people, though, isn't it?
Yeah, 200,000.
I would think a couple of hundred. I mean, this is what makes me laugh about these debates. If you were in Islamabad or you were in Calcutta and half of the people there were white, this would cause an enormous political upset.
You said Islamabad. Do you know how many churches, Christian churches, there are?
No, I'm not saying there can't be Christians there. I'm just talking about on the colour basis.
Well,
on the colour basis,
it's a smaller percentage. Islamabad and Pakistan.
Look, it's not 50% white, is it? Right? And supposing you had a white leader of one of these countries, that would be considered beyond bizarre. And yet we're expected to take on change at an enormous pace, right, and expect people not to feel concerned about what their nation might look like. For instance, not only now, but look forward, say 20 years' time, at the rate of 50,000 a year coming in illegally, plus those that come in legally, our nation will be completely different. How do you feel about that then, Matthew? You're relaxed about that, are you?
I lived in Tower Hamlets for 7 years. Those people cut my hair. Those people sold me my food.
Right. Are you relaxed about the nation changing in this manner? Yes?
I think when you look at culture and we describe culture changes. It's fluid. Spain was a Muslim country 500 years ago. You look at it today, you would never believe it. And I think we will go through different types of culture in your lifetime, my lifetime, and well after we're gone. Should I be concerned? Well, my own kids are going to be non-white. Should I be concerned that my partner's family are half Muslim? That doesn't concern me because they're exactly as normal as
Is that the case?
Yes.
Right. So you have...
I'm totally relaxed about who I am.
Yeah, well, I should expect to if you love the woman. I mean, if you weren't relaxed about it, it's very difficult to know how you get together. I am saying that seeing the nation change without us saying, actually, we're in favour of huge change coming at us, right? And we didn't really have a vote about it. Politicians, actually led by your lot, by Blair and Brown, right, who decided one day, actually, we'll open the floodgates on this, actually is the thing that concerns people. They don't want it. If they vote for it, right, fine. If it just happens on you, or you see it coming across the channel, or you get some mad leader like Boris Johnson, who suddenly decides that 1 million people can come in, right, for no apparent reason, I honestly think we have nothing but trouble ahead for us.
Very quickly, the thing that we may agree on, the culture of change may be so different, we need to know who's coming here. I think we will agree on that bit.
Well, there you go. You will have very strong opinions on that one. Join the conversation in all the usual ways. Coming up after the break, lots of you want your favourite topic today seems to be Saturday jobs, so don't worry, I will talk about that. But also, the family member of one of the girls killed in Southport says that this government is being pulled along too much, basically, by Reform UK, and that they shouldn't be looking at doing things like revealing ethnicities of criminals. Your thoughts?
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Dew, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
Wake up with a familiar face. She's back on breakfast television. Penny Smith returns.
Miss me? Well, I'm here, and I brought the coffee.
And we're reuniting to brighten your morning.
It's just like old times, only better.
So join Penny and me next Monday and Tuesday only on GB News Breakfast.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hello everybody, Michelle Dewberry with you. Till 7, Kelvin McKenzie and Matthew Torbett are alongside me. So many of you just want to have this conversation about Saturday jobs. I'm specifically asking about this because it's A-level day, and what I'm putting to you is I think these opportunities that pretty much all of us and many of you at home will have had, they're not available now to the likes of your kids, your grandkids, and I just wonder how troublesome you actually think that is. I'll bring you back into the conversation in a second, but for now, something else caught my eye today. One of the grandfathers of one of the children that was, we know the story now, absolutely horrendously murdered in Southport has spoken out. They've given an interview with The Guardian today. And what they're saying is that the conversations that have been taking place about whether or not the ethnicity and the immigration status of criminals should be revealed, and that is really divided opinion. This is the grandfather of BB King. He's saying this is absolutely the wrong move. He wants the government to reconsider on this and says that this information is completely irrelevant. The propensity to commit crime happens in any ethnicity, nationality or race. He also criticises what he calls despicable actions of the far right who tried to make political gain from the tragedy. And he basically suggests that the Labour Party are kowtowing essentially to the likes of Reform UK. Matthew Torbett, what do you think to all this?
I mean, they're strong words. And I mean, you know, we must say that he's obviously a Labour supporter all his life, so therefore you'd half expect it, but then also I suppose it shows it's not changed his mind, he doesn't feel a certain way. We had this discussion a few weeks back, I think, because the government was talking about potential league tables of nationalities and whatnot. I sort of think, you know, if somebody was to do something awful to somebody I loved or broke into my house, it wouldn't necessarily bother me who they were, where they were from, or certainly what their immigration status was. I just want to know that they were being punished. I'm worried that it could cause scapegoating of certain nationalities because I don't think you're necessarily more predisposed to commit crimes because you're from a different country. But what I would hope is that if there is a trend of a certain group or nationality or a certain group of immigrants or whatever it might be, is that the government, Scotland Yard and potentially MI5, if it was serious enough, identify a trend and therefore prevent, because I think prevention is always better than dealing with it afterwards, certainly in cases like this.
You just said, though, that just because you're from a certain country, that doesn't mean that you're predisposed to, be more criminal or whatever. But I would put back to you that actually, if you are from a certain place or culture or whatever, where you don't see women as equal, you don't see women as being worthy of dignity or respect, and actually, quite frankly, you see women as basically property that you can do what you want to, including stoning to death if they have the audacity to cheat. I would actually put to you then that you would be then predisposed when you're picked up and you're plonked in a Western society to not treat women the way that we women have become accustomed to in this country.
I hear that argument, and there's certainly different cultures from here. I think the rise of individuals like Andrew Tate, however, show that actually it doesn't matter. You can be totally from the West and have a view on women that I would certainly say is disrespectful and unpalatable.
But hold on a second. Andrew Tate does not represent anything. He represents himself, whereas, obviously, and you would know through your Muslim women look upon British women as slappers and the like for the way that they dress and the way that they deport themselves. And so I think we have a different view about womanhood over here than we do than in various Muslim countries in the world.
Well, what do you think to that? Again, you will have very strong opinions at home. I've got to say, and I say this with sensitivity and respect, because, of course, nothing can compare to the experience of that grandfather. My heart absolutely breaks for him, his family, and all of the other families. But with the utmost of respect, I do actually have a completely different opinion to him. And I do think it is very important indeed that we understand who these people are that are committing crimes. Because if you don't understand who is committing the crimes, then how can you create criminal prevention strategies to try and reduce crimes? And also, when it comes to immigration and the immigration status, of course it's important to understand the statistics and all the rest of it surrounding people who you let into the country. So, again, you can form policies surrounding it. I've got to say, though, really, the key thing that many of you want to get in touch with me about tonight is the fact that it's A-level day. And congratulations, of course, to any young people watching this, or grandkids or whatever. Well done if you've got your A-level results. I also want to say, though, it's not the end of the world if you didn't. These are just a snapshot in time, and life does indeed move on. White working class kids, though, they are not faring very well at the moment educationally.
No, I think successive governments have took their eyes off the ball, and I think part of that is seen through research that the Centre for Social Justice have done. And they're able to do that sort of research because the figures are there for kids that aren't white when it comes to things like truancy. They're not there for white kids, which makes you go, well, why not? Did we always assume our kids, per se, would be OK, when, in fact, they're not?
Kevin?
Well, I think I have a story myself where there is somebody that I know, a family I know, the parents split up, there was health issues in the girl and all that. Anyway, she learned today she's got into Cambridge.
Right.
Right, and honestly, she came, everything was against her, and yet she did it. So I want to say, well done to you, Mary.
Well, well done. Look, the reason I'm pontificating and pondering about Saturday jobs is because I do think it was a bit of a rite of passage. And all these young people today, so many of those opportunities have gone from them now for various different reasons. Susie said, Michelle, I had a paper around age 12, did waitressing in cafes at 14, and then I was a Saturday girl in Woolworths at 15. I mean, Woolworths doesn't even exist in its original form anyway. She says it was so normal for kids to work. We learnt the value of money, but it's such a pity, she says, that the kids of today are so indulged by their parents. It creates a sense of entitlement. Anne said, before, Michelle, you used to be able to get a Saturday job aged 13. Then it all became about national insurance numbers and the age of 16. And she says, again, this life experience is what's lacking in many youngsters. I can't end the programme then without you both telling me about what your Saturday jobs were. I bet that's what everyone's been gripped waiting to hear. So what was your Saturday job?
Well, the best paid Saturday job, I worked in a bookmaker's, right? Fantastic. And the other one was I used to deliver ice creams on the train. And yet, unfortunately, I jumped into one, thought it was going to Margate or somewhere, and found out I was locked into that particular carriage. There was no corridor. So I spent the entire day looking at an old fellow, trying to persuade him to buy just one more chalk ice.
There you go, Matt Torbit.
I had a paper round. I helped my mum clean offices at 14, 15.
Right.
And what was the other one I did? Oh, I worked in supermarkets, stacking shelves. So, yeah, no, I did a few different things.
I was a supermarket shelf stacker, and I used to work in a pub kitchen as well. I used to have a hairnet on. I used to be mortified because all the boys that I fancied from Sunday football used to come in. Anyway, whatever. That's the end of the show. Thanks, gents. Thanks to you at home. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's going to be much more settled during the next 24 hours. Showers and thunderstorms easing, mostly dry and hot again in the south, albeit cooler across northern parts of the UK, having seen some thundery showers developing through the day. They're tending to ease now as we head into the hours of darkness, and for most of the UK it's drier. Clear spells for many, but some areas of cloud around, particularly for northwest England, parts of North Wales, more especially northern and eastern Scotland, where there'll be some low cloud covering the hills and bringing misty conditions to the coast. A few spots of rain out of that cloud overnight, otherwise it's a fine start to Friday. A warm night and a warm start for the south in particular on Friday morning. Plenty of sunshine and temperatures soon rising up to 20 degrees in places by 7 or 8 a.m. Some areas of cloud around, but yeah, for many it is a bright start to the day. Northern Ireland seeing plenty of sunshine, likewise for the central belt. But for much of central Scotland into the east of Scotland, northeast England, we will see this area of low cloud that's going to tend to drift southwards through the day to affect parts of East Yorkshire into the Lincolnshire coast, Norfolk perhaps, by the afternoon. That's going to make it feel much cooler, and we'll have this onshore breeze with it. But where we've got the sunshine and lighter winds elsewhere, it's hotter once again, high 20s, low 30s in the south, cooler for northern parts of the UK, more like low 20s. The low cloud in the North Sea tends to creep back inland overnight, and it will be with us first thing Saturday, fairly extensively, I suspect, through the morning, burning back towards the east as the day progresses, but a rather cloudy picture, I think, for eastern parts of the UK on Saturday. Much sunnier towards the west and southwest, and that's where the highest temperatures will be through Saturday and Sunday.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.